Hello and good morning from Proactive New York. With me today from Radiopharm Theranostics is Managing Director and CEO Riccardo Canevari. Alongside him is Chief Medical Officer Dr. David Mosley. And we also have Executive Chairman Paul Hopper. It is great to see you all together today. Riccardo, we're going to kick it off with you today. We've met once before, but start us off by giving us a quick refresher on the company itself.
Thank you, Christina. Nice to see you again. Yes, we met at the time of the IPO in November 2021. Now we are just 6 months from that day that so many things happen in Radiopharm Theranostics. We are really excited on the progresses of the company. As you know, we are focusing on bringing innovative radiopharmaceutical therapies to patients. And we are progressing very well with our approach to clinical trial. We plan in 2022 to start 4 new phase 1 clinical trial. And also we have an important readout for our phase 2 in patient with brain metastasis. So all the team is fully engaged, is fully energized to bring our clinical pipeline to the next stage and to bring the value of Radiopharm therapeutics to patients living with oncological disease.
Certainly seems like you have a lot going on right now. Riccardo, just remind us a bit about your background and why you joined the group.
Absolutely, Christine. So I spent more than 20 years in Novartis in different roles and geographies. But probably 2018 was a critical moment when the company decided to enter the radiopharmaceutical space. As Novartis, we decided to invest $6 billion in 1 year to acquire AAA and Endocyte and to play a role in the radiopharmaceutical therapies. After that, I moved to that division, the radiopharmaceutical division of Novartis. I was leading it as a chief commercial officer, and really the opportunity to learn about the value of radiopharmaceutical therapies. So when Paul Hopper called me and he shared his vision about building a leader in oncology through the leveraging of the innovation of radiopharmaceutical therapies, I said, well, I'm in, or actually I'm all in. It's an incredible opportunity to start a journey together, bring a new company into life with an exciting pipeline. And we are every day trying to be consistent with this vision in order to build a very strong pipeline and bring these therapies to patients.
Thank you very much, Riccardo. We're going to turn it over now to Dr. David Mosley. David, would you tell us a bit about your background?
Yeah, my background has led me to exactly this position with Radiopharm Theranostics. Everything that I have done has directed me to this space. My first year in medical school coincided with the publication of a successful radiotheranostic for the treatment of neuroblastoma and pheochromocytoma. I trained at the University of Pennsylvania, and I was lucky enough to be taken under wing by the most prolific radiochemist of the 20th century. Together, we elaborated 6 investigational new therapeutics, and I managed 11 of them. I went to Eli Lilly to do the same. When my management transitioned to Merck, I followed and to do the same. Cornell called me out of the blue to do it for them, yada, yada. And then one night in a cold winter night in 2021, Paul Hopper called me out of the blue. And, I just take phone calls from people. I like to talk to people. One of my problems is I like to talk to people a lot. But Paul started explaining his vision to me, and I was just like, wow, he's got it. He's nailed it. I've never heard anybody who had it like Paul. And the criteria that he elaborated were just like a dream. And so, of course, when Paul suggested I consider a job, I said, yeah, I'll dive in head first, in the deep end. Let's go. Cornell was a pleasant place. A lot of intellectual nerds enjoy growing old at a college like that. I could have, but no, I wanted to do this. I wanted to do something with my life, and Paul gave me the opportunity. So here I am, still working on that opportunity.
So clearly a very impressive background that you have, especially in this space. Could you maybe talk a bit more broadly about the radiopharmaceutical sector? Why and how did the technology emerge?
So the technology, the vision was actually described in 1907, never mind. Again, Hertz and Roberts described the first successful application in 1941. That's even before my time. So the field kind of smoldered for, the next 80 years until some proofs of concepts emerged, at which point resistance just collapsed. It really was not an incremental trench warfare. A certain number of things happened, and boom, everybody and their brothers, so to speak. I mean, there's just widespread acceptance of the fact that this is going to be one of the pillars of treatment for oncology, not the only one. Endoradiotherapy is going to be critical, but it's not going to replace surgery. It's going to augment surgery. It's not going to replace immunotherapy, but it's going to enhance immunotherapy and make immunotherapy possible more so than it is today by stirring the pot. It's not going to eliminate chemotherapy, but it's going to augment chemotherapy and allow those chemotoxic doses to be decreased to the point where they don't make people quite so miserable again. So this is thrilling. We are literally going to cure cancer, and we have stopped using the treatment word. We are using the C word, the cure word, openly in public. It's just an amazing paradigm shift. It's taken us a while to get there. Riccardo led the charge by commercializing some of the most successful agents that showed the way. But there's going to be many, many others. And most of what RAD has not really even been imagined before.
Yeah, what's kind of the latest progress you have seen in terms of what's going on in the radiopharmaceutical sector?
So there's going to be a huge paradigm shift in the management of men with prostate cancer. That's the most common cancer in men, not just in America or Europe, but pretty much across the world. It's been a grim disease, and one that's very hard to live with. It's associated with a lot of pain, a lot of disability, and a lot of shame. Men are shamed to be castrated and, live with these kinds of disabilities. This is going to change that. We will promote surgical cures, and we will mop up after surgery so that, never again do people have to go through, this kind of turmoil. We're focusing on breast. Of course, the neuroendocrine tumors, they're not that common, but radiopharmaceutical therapy of them has been just wildly successful. I don't think that's an exaggeration. It's just, been, it's been dramatic, what we've been able to do for these patients. So I think you're going to see it over and over again in almost every major cancer. We're going to transform cancer from a chronic disease into a curable disease. That's a very, very bold statement, but that's indeed, what the leadership of the American Clinical Society of Oncology has been claiming now for a couple of years, and we think they're right.
So now just briefly touch on some of the assets that RAD has in the pipeline and how they are maybe more significant compared to their competitors.
Sure, and I'll ask Riccardo to help me with some of these. So we have 5 pillars, and among these pillars are a number of assets that can be used to treat several different cancers. It's no secret that some of my favorites are the so-called camelids. Camels, you know, and camelids, camel-like. Camels are not the Middle Eastern camels. They're a little bit nasty, you know, they spit at people. But the Bactrian camels in outer Mongolia, the Himalayas, they're fuzzy, cute, sweet little animals. They produce a single domain antibody. It's the smallest of all antibodies. It's ironic. These animals are an order of magnitude larger than we are. You know, a typical bull weighs 700 kilograms. Standard man weighs 70 kilograms. But our antibodies are typically 180,000 Daltons. Theirs are typically 14,000 Daltons. So that makes these antibodies very agile, very fast. That means they don't linger in the circulation and cause much toxicity, and they can weave their way in and out of these big solid tumors. So we have 4 camelids that are just thrilling for major diseases. 2 of them are for breast cancer for sure, a Herceptin molecule and a TROP2 molecule, the same one that Gilead paid $21 billion for. How much money is that? But the thing is, you know, if you had to choose between ours or theirs, you'd pick ours because ours is easier. Ours is more likely to succeed. Ours is less complicated. So we have a portfolio of camelids. We like those. We have some fully humanized antibodies. You know, we will not buy a asset to attack prostate-specific membrane antigen. We would be 10th to market, maybe 15th, I don't know, but we're not interested. You know, that's not an unmet need anymore. But what we're seeing is that these prostate-specific membrane antigens cause a lot of toxicity. So we have another antibody targeting prostate cancer. You know, it hits a protein called, you know, the kallikreins, never mind. But it won't cause, we don't believe that it will cause that kind of toxicity. So that's about one of the only examples where we have decided to go with a best-in-class approach as opposed to a first or only approach. We have a very small molecule that's attacking fatty acid synthetase in brain. That's pretty novel. We don't know of any more out there. Glioblastoma multiforme is an extremely important world health problem. You know, it's not a discriminator of persons. Maybe you remember that both Senator Ted Kennedy and Senator John McCain died of GBM. Both of them survived almost exactly 15 months after diagnosis, despite, you know, world's best care. Senator McCain by Mayo, Senator Kennedy by Harvard and Duke. You know, we really think that we have a shot on goal. We can do something about this disease for a change. And in fact, we have several potential shots on goal, some of which, you know, Paul and Riccardo haven't completely finalized the deal yet, so that I know of. So we can't speak of that there. So, you know, these are just some of the assets. We have others. Again, you know, we're putting the word out that we're looking for molecules that are first in class and that are close to reaching humans. Most of our molecules have been in humans, at least as an imaging agent. Big pharma usually doesn't touch molecules like this until they've been de-risked quite a lot. But no, we think, we have the intellectual firepower on our team to make reasonable estimates of the probability of technical success. So we just really do have an outstanding team. Tom Tulip, our chief technical officer, is an amazing intellectual force. He's been in this field a long time. Ian Turner, who also sits on the board, has contributed immensely. I mean, we just have a really, really good team. We have Anji Wegener now, who's got a lot of experience in this space. She is super bright. Gatasha Chan has been doing this since she graduated from medical school. She's very insightful, very articulate. I mean, we just have a great team, and our assets reflect that.
Well, Dr. Mosley, I thank you very much for sharing your expertise in this space. Paul, I will now end with you. Can you maybe kind of discuss why investors should be interested in Radiopharm Theranostics versus maybe other companies in the sector?
Yes, certainly, Christine. In Australia, we're one of 3 ASX-listed radiopharmaceutical companies. I think the attraction of our company is the assets and the pipeline. We've got a very diversified pipeline. We've got 5 pillars, as David mentioned. They cover small molecules and biologics. They come from very impressive homes. So the provenance of the drugs are very good, ranging from Technical University of Munich, Memorial Sloan Kettering, UCLA, to name a few. I think there's risk diversification because we have a variety of different of technologies. But in my opinion, the most important thing after the assets and the pipeline of the company in a biotech is the management team. And we really do have an outstanding group of people. In fact, people are often taken aback by the team, led by Riccardo coming from Novartis and David from Cornell. Because, sometimes very good drugs fail to be developed because of a bad leadership. And actually, to be a little bit cynical, sometimes not very good drugs get quite a way down the development path because of very astute management. We've got a great team, and I think people are taken aback when they look at the caliber, and David just mentioned some of the people. So I think the management team is absolutely first class in the space. And the stage of development, we've got, in the case of Australia or the ASX, probably the deepest or close to the deepest clinical pipeline. That is, we have more clinical trials running in one company than I think anybody else. So if you look at this company from an investor's point of view, you get quality of assets, you get quality of management, and you get a clinical pipeline, that is a number of trials which substantially de-risk the opportunity. So I think it's not only an attractive opportunity in the ASX, but also globally.
Well, we certainly look forward to following the company's progress. Lots going on for sure. Paul Hopper, David Mosley, Riccardo Canevari, thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you, Christine. Bye.
Thank you.